We see adaptive reuse as part of our overall strategy in the Comprehensive Master Plan as a way to reuse existing buildings that preserves the historic pattern, historic character of the Keene, and it's also good for the environment from the point of view of using embedded carbon in these buildings and not having to pay more to build new buildings as well, so economically it's valuable.
Adaptive reuse is not a new trend. It actually began in probably the 1970s. And prior to that, people were simply removing old industrial buildings and old business blocks and building new structures for retail and offices and various uses. But in the 1960s, Keene lost several very important structures, and people became upset that a lot of the historical homes and businesses were being removed, and at that time it became more economically feasible for people to restore the old buildings. There was better construction materials, they were better structures, and it was just as inexpensive to repair and reuse those as it was to build new.
Some examples are the Colony Mill Marketplace, of course, historically an industrial site, a mill, renovated in the 1980s primarily for commercial uses, and it became a primary center in New England for retail in a very attractive setting. Prime Roast and their adaptive reuse on Route 101 is a great example of adaptive reuse, mostly because that building, it was unlikely to be used for another viable economic activity. It's too small for most folks. So we're really happy to see a building that saved the historic character and the gateway of Keene, preserving that historic character and being used for a viable economic activity.
Adaptive reuse is so important. Years ago, I was part of the planning process for Keene's master plan, and lots of things were identified as important, but our architectural heritage was part of that conversation, and it became part of the plan. Not just building new buildings, but reusing the existing inventory of buildings that Keene already had. This building, it was built in the 1800s, 1840s. It's a great building. It's brick and with a granite foundation. It's visually, I think, stunning to look at. Even when it was falling down, people loved this building. So taking a building that already existed, instead of tearing it down and building something else, which probably would have been a lot more economical, we'll say. The whole idea of preserving the character and transforming a really cool building into something that is a hallmark for my business and for the city is pretty cool.